Alright, what's happening, y'all? It's your boy Rico from RicoScores, and as promised, like I said, it doesn't matter who we sign. I'm coming with a full breakdown for that player and why they may even matter more than you think. So right now, we're discussing the Washington Commanders have signed Pro Bowl long snapper Tyler Ott. No more Camaron Cheeseman. We're going to talk about why that's so important, why we should have faith in Larry Izzo for him bringing a guy like a Tyler Ott over, why we should believe and assume that this guy's going to be a good player for us. And also, of course, with this being a long snapper, does this actually matter? Is this actually important to the Commanders? I'm going to explain why, but before we dive into all of that, make sure you stiff arm that like button, stiff arm the subscription button, and stiff arm the bell next to that subscription button so you can get a notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. I told y'all I'm not playing, man. I don't care who we sign. I'm updating y'all on every single little signing, even if it's a kicker, it's a long snapper, it's a backup at a different position group. We are breaking down every single person. So again, this is your one-stop shop for everything Commanders. Stay tuned because I'm also working on some creative videos as well. I want to do like a review of our first 2 days of legal tampering period. I want to do a breakdown of what our biggest needs still are and what potential targets we can find for those needs, both free agency and the draft. So make sure you stay tuned for videos like that very soon, maybe even today, because right now as I'm recording this is 4 a.m. Wednesday, March 13th, and technically the free agency, the new league year, technically starts today at 4 p.m. So stay tuned. I'm gonna keep y'all updated on everything. We'll start to get more updates on people's contracts, and of course, once we get the official numbers on everybody that we've signed and we know the exact cap hits, I'm gonna give y'all a cap space update as well. So stay tuned for all of that. Let's go ahead and get to it, man. Let's get it. And before we get any further in the video, I want to shout out my boy Hunter for the huge donation that he gave to the Cash App since my previous video, man. I really appreciate it. As always, man, if y'all donate while I'm not live streaming, I feel like the least I can do is thank y'all in my very next video that I get to. So, man, I appreciate it again. Shouts out my boy Hunter. Shouts out to everybody that's been donating in the Cash Apps and the comment sections. Y'all don't understand how much it means to me. So, again, I just want to thank y'all. But let's go ahead and get to the actual video now, the real breakdown. So, I first saw it from Tom Pelissero. He tweeted long snapper news, and I feel like he emphasized that because a lot of people don't necessarily care about long snappers, so it was pretty funny to kind of point that out. We have long snapper news now, y'all. I mean, and if anybody deserves and has the right to sign a long snapper at this point, it's us. We've signed the most free agents out of any team in the NFL so far in these first 2 days of this legal tampering period, and I'm not sure if we're done. Like, we may keep going. So if anybody has room to go ahead and sign a long snapper, it's us. Where you have the Cowboys who haven't done anything but re-sign their own long snapper who was already there in the 2023 season with them. So, I mean, again, if anybody has the right to go out and make a move that a lot of people consider not exciting, it's us, because we've already done a lot of exciting things already leading up to this signing. So I don't care. I'm excited. I just want us to be solid at every single position group, even if it's just kicker and long snapper. We're still trying to figure out who our kick returner may be. I believe that Camaron Allen has a great chance to fight for that, because again, Adam Peters, his very first roster move that he made since becoming our general manager was re-signing practice squad players Mason Brooks, who's going to compete for like a backup interior offensive line spot and try to make the 53-man roster there, and then Camaron Allen, who's going to also compete as like a depth wide receiver type of guy. But most importantly, I think we're bringing him back that soon because they want him to compete as a returner. Larry Izzo probably has his eyes on him. Tom Pelissero said the Commanders are signing Tyler Ott to a 3-year deal, per source, a reunion with new coordinator Larry Izzo, who coached them in Seattle. And first of all, my first thought was, to be completely honest, is that his entire last name for real? Literally just Ott, just OTT? I've never seen that before, so that's really interesting, man. I've seen a lot. Like Ronnie Lott, I've never seen just an Ott. I don't know, man. I'm not trying to make fun of him. I was just like, actually, was that I had to literally check to make sure that wasn't a typo from Tom Pelissero. Also, another thing I want to point out before we do a deep dive into this signing, if y'all did not notice, I did not put after the film in the title of this video. How you notice how in every other signing we've done, I put after the film in, at the very least for most of them, because I literally go and watch film on these guys before I even take the time to record these breakdowns for them. Of course, I go and pull some stats. I'm gonna pull up some Pro Football Focus grades as well, but I also at least want to watch a little bit on the guy so I can formulate my own opinion and not just base the signing off of what everybody else thinks. I'll include some people's opinions and thoughts from around the internet, especially Twitter, especially from Commanders reporters and people that I trust. I'll throw it in there, but I want to have my own opinion entering these videos. But again, I want to point out the fact that with this long snapper, I did not include after the film on purpose. That was deliberate, because who's actually about to really watch all 22 film on a long snapper, dog? Like, be for real, man. I'm gonna keep it a thou wow with y'all at all times, man. And maybe I'll go and look at a couple of highlights later on at some point whenever I'm less busy to make sure that this guy is solid. But I'm just gonna leave it to the experts, and they're telling me so far that this guy is a really good signing. Now, first of all, let's go ahead and backtrack a little bit. I want to point out the fact that we all already knew that Camaron Cheeseman had zero chance of coming back, but now we know for 100% sure, 110% sure that we are clear of that Camaron Cheeseman curse. It's still crazy when you think back and remember that Ron Rivera and Martin Mayhew traded up to draft a bad long snapper in the 6th round. That's insane. That's fireable in itself. On top of all of the other ridiculous moves and just completely like, what are you doing type of decisions they made since taking over the Commanders a few years ago, man. Lord have mercy. And so, at the very least, I'm just hoping Tyler Ott can at the very least snap the football. Just be consistent. Be something we don't have to worry about, please, man. That's the main thing. But I just can't imagine that he could possibly, no matter what, even be in the realm of being as bad as what Camaron Cheeseman was. And I know Joey Sly has to hate Camaron Cheeseman probably even more than us fans do, and I know we're sick of him, but imagine who's even more sick of him than we are, Joey Sly. Because I'm pretty sure Joey Sly missed a few of his kicks last season because of terrible Camaron Cheeseman snaps that Tressway did his best to try to hurry up and corral and put there safely and quickly for Joey Sly to kick. And sadly, when we look at Joey Sly's numbers, to be completely honest, a lot of people won't keep that in mind when they look at his calculations, his percentages and things like that. They won't have in the back of their mind, oh yeah, Camaron Cheeseman sure was his long snapper in 2023 when they take a look at Joey Sly's 2023 stats. So Joey Sly is basically just out here looking bad, and it may not even be entirely his fault. Poor guy, man. So again, if you think you hate Camaron Cheeseman, imagine how Joey Sly feels. And also, man, I mean, it's just ridiculous that it took Ron Rivera so long, I mean almost the entire season, to realize that we needed a new long snapper, and then within less than 48 hours of the legal tampering period, Adam Peters immediately knew that we needed a long snapper. And again, shouts out to Larry Izzo and their connection that they have, which takes me to why this signing actually makes a lot of sense. Because there's a clear connection between Tyler Ott and now our current special teams coordinator, Larry Izzo, because Larry Izzo was the special teams coordinator for the Seattle Seahawks for the past few years before he came here. And so basically he's bringing his own long snapper to the Commanders with him. And I for sure trust Larry Izzo on this one, man. I mean, I'm giving everybody on this coaching staff and front office the benefit of the doubt until they do something to where they no longer deserve it. But Larry Izzo is serious at special teams, y'all. He's a huge upgrade over Nate Cax. I already did a full breakdown on Larry Izzo when we first hired him. But if you don't believe me, if anything, remember, in a system that Rick Gosselin created, where the league's 32 teams are ranked in 22 kicking game categories and assigned points according to their standing, Larry Izzo had the Seahawks ranked in the top 6 in each of the last 4 years in a row in special teams rankings, according to, again, Rick Gosselin's 22 metric kicking game categories, man. Larry Izzo is a big upgrade over Larry Caxer. It may not even be close, man. I think it's honestly amazing that more people aren't talking about our switch from Nate Caxer to Larry Izzo. That's one of our most underrated moves this entire offseason between hires and signings, man. Our special teams are about to go from one of the worst in the NFL to one of the 6th best. And that's amazing, man. And then on top of, just the fact that Larry Izzo is that trustworthy, he's been that dependable for the Seattle Seahawks for that long, I just have to trust and give them the benefit of the doubt that when he brings a long snapper over, that guy was a part, and especially since he was a part of that 6th ranked special teams unit from a couple of years ago, we just gotta assume that this guy's gonna come here and do exactly what we need him to do. But even separately, just from how bad Camaron Cheeseman was, I also think that this guy is just actually isolated. Even if Camaron Cheeseman never existed, this is still a good signing. But compared to Camaron Cheeseman, this is one of our best signings in free agency. You can honestly argue, man. I mean, Camaron Cheeseman was as bad as it gets. That was probably our worst player on our team. I'm not gonna lie. And also, to get more specific with the connection, Tyler Ott, who just signed a 3-year deal with us, was with special teams coach Larry Izzo in Seattle for 4 years, but he didn't take a single snap in 2022, and then he was with Baltimore last year, and so now he reunites with his old special teams coach in the Commanders. He's 32 years old. He's entering his 9th season, and he also was with the New York Giants and Cincinnati early in his career, but then he was with the Seattle Seahawks for 5.5 years. And hey, man, don't sleep on the fact that he was a Pro Bowler in 2020. Let's not just completely skip over that. And since Pro Football Focus doesn't really grade long snappers, since most people in their right mind are not about to go and watch long snapper all 22 for every long snapper in the NFL to even be able to compare these guys to each other and actually assign them grades, I'm just going to defer to the fact that since he made the Pro Bowl in 2022, he has to be really good at what he does. Again, at the very least, better than Camaron Cheeseman. So, I mean, at the end of the day, no matter what position you sign a Pro Bowler at, I'm happy to sign Pro Bowlers, even if it is something like long snapper. And when you really think about it, this has to be the best situation for a long snapper to come into, which is why I feel like Tyler Ott wanted to sign here. First of all, again, his old special teams coordinator is already here, but also because all Tyler has to do is just not go out there and be historically bad like Camaron Cheeseman. He doesn't even necessarily have to be great. He doesn't even have to necessarily be the 2020 Pro Bowl version of himself. Just go out there and don't be absolutely terrible and a liability on special teams like the last guy, and we're automatically just going to celebrate him just for that. I mean, just to be compared to Camaron Cheeseman, you're automatically going to look great, even if you're not great, even if you're just good, because that's how much of a gap that Camaron Cheeseman is away from probably most, if not all, other long snappers that were in NFL. It was crazy that we held on to him as long as we did. And I'm just, at the end of the day, most importantly, I hope we could just go back to being a normal NFL team that doesn't even have to think about worrying about a long snapper. Like, I shouldn't even be here talking to you about a long snapper. I, as a fan of the Washington Commanders or of any NFL team, should not even remember that long snapper even exists as a position in football. We shouldn't even be able to remember the name of our long snapper, man. We should never even hear the commentators say his name enough to where we can actually remember it. Because if the long snapper's not making mistakes, the commentators have no reason to speak on them. The coaches have no reason to speak on them after games, in between games, like after practices and things like that. This is something that we shouldn't even be discussing, man. I should forget literally that we even have a long snapper on the team. Like, why are we even talking about long snapper right now, man, to be completely honest? But it's important. You can't take it for granted when you have a good one. Like when we had Nick Sundberg, boy, we never thought about long snapper being an issue and how much it could actually cost you games. But when you don't and you end up with a Camaron Cheeseman, it ruins and literally loses you games. And you can't help but notice the fact that long snappers are more important than the average fan thinks. But again, I just want Tyler to help us forget that it's even a position on an NFL team, man. Please, I just want it to feel so automatic. I want it to feel like a machine. Like we just go out there, line up for kicks, and we just complete them. Between the kicker, the long snapper, and Tressway fielding it to basically grabbing it, putting it down for him to kick it. It should feel like one smooth motion, literally like a machine running, and we shouldn't even have to think about it. I'm hoping by the time we get to October, I even forget our long snapper's name. That's basically the best case scenario, because there's nothing a long snapper can do positive wise that would make sense for us to really have this guy's name always at the front of our minds. It's only for a bad thing why you're always hearing about long snappers. It's never for anything good. Because right now, off the top of your head, who's the best long snapper in the NFL right now? Exactly. You don't know who, because the best long snappers don't get talked about. There's a reason for that. Also, shouts out to Resh Manuel, because you know he's always going to provide some background info on guys. And fun fact, Tyler Ott is a Harvard guy, and Commanders punter Tress Way grew up about 20 minutes from him in Oklahoma and played high school football against each other as part of the Backyard Bowl rivalry. I have no idea how Resh Manuel finds these interesting facts. I literally don't know how he does it, but hey, man, shouts out to him. I'm glad he's on our side. I'm glad he's rooting for the Commanders and giving us Commanders facts, because I don't even think other fan bases have another Resh Manuel. Maybe a couple of other ones out there do, but I highly doubt all of them do, so I'm thankful, man. I really am. But, man, now the Commanders are up to 12 free agency signings, which is, again, the most out of the entire NFL. And I also want to point out the fact that all 12 are external and none of them are internal. Not a single one is a re-signing, even though there are some guys that are still out there available that were playing for the Commanders in 2023 that I would like for us to re-sign. I'm trusting every move that they make, because so far they've been killing it in free agency. And if they feel like the roster was that bad to where they don't feel the need to re-sign anybody, not even like a Khaleke Hudson at linebacker or a Cornelius Lucas to be a backup swing tackle for us, then hey, man, I trust them. I completely trust them there. And man, I love what we're doing. I mean, you could tell that they hated the roster, because remember, Adam Peters in his initial press conference when he first got hired was answering questions like it was nothing. Question, answer immediately. Question, answer immediately. When they asked him how he felt about the roster, that was the only time that it looked like he was buffering for a second. I mean, he literally sat there for like 3 to 4 seconds. It was the most awkward, deafening silence where it was just like, man, he really had to go deep within his core to try to find a way to put this politically without having to hate on the Commanders and make it seem like he hates the roster. Well, now, even though he didn't necessarily say it, he kind of showed it in that press conference, and he's for sure showing it so far this offseason with, again, 12 outside signings, but 0 internally. But at the same time, with those 12 outside signings, we have connections to every player one way or another, and 10 out of the 12 have direct connections to current coaches that are here, like a coach or a front office member previously either coached or drafted that guy or signed him to another team that they were coaching or being a front office member for. So there are pretty strong connections and prior relationships at play here, but overall, this is still a situation where they are doing whatever they can to find guys that weren't playing for a Commanders team that only won 4 games last season. Even if it's not necessarily Khaleke Hudson's fault or Cornelius Lucas's fault, I guess they see it as you still have some of that 4-win second overall stink on you, and we don't want none of that bad juju over here. I guess at the very worst, maybe that's how they feel. Also, shouts out to my boy at Salary Cap 101, because he brings up a great point. Acquiring players who fit culturally is a crapshoot. Risk is mitigated by getting to know players. This is why combine player interviews are important. In free agency, there are no interviews and financial risk are greater. Thus, many signings can be traced to prior relationships, and that's why a lot of these guys that we brought in have had previous relationships and connections to current coaches and front office members that are here for the Commanders right now for one reason or another, one way or another. Also, before we get up out of here, I do want to make y'all aware, and I don't want to make y'all panic. I'm not trying to scare y'all, but I do want y'all to be aware of the fact that I'm seeing reports that the Eagles are not only trying to sign Justin Simmons, but apparently they're trying to go get Cameron Curl as well. They're trying to get both of them. And as of right now, there's been a lot of interdivision movement this offseason so far, and it's scary. I don't think I've ever seen an NFL offseason free agency period where it's this many people going from one division rival to another, just staying right in the division. I mean, just off the top of the head, a few guys that we brought over from Dallas, which makes sense because of Dan Quinn, but then you have Patrick Queen going from the Ravens to the Steelers. You have Saquon going from the Giants to the Eagles, and that's just the start. There's many more even beyond that. This is pure chaos. It's the Wild Wild West, and I'm loving it, man. I'm having fun, but man, I really hope the Eagles don't end up with both Justin Simmons and Cameron McCurl. I actually hope they don't end up with either, but I would prefer for us to get Justin Simmons, and then even though I am a fan of Cameron McCurl, y'all can have him, especially if you allow us to take Justin Simmons from y'all. That would be beautiful. Justin Simmons and Jeremy Chin added in the same free agency period might make me cry. I'm not gonna lie, man. But yeah, man, that's the end of this video. Please get in the comment section. Let me know how you feel about everything discussed in this video. Please stiff arm that like button, stiff arm the subscription button, and stiff arm the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Make sure you stay tuned for all of the content. Again, I'm keeping y'all updated on every little thing. And I also have a lot of creative video ideas that I'm working on. So if by the time I wake up, later on today, because again it's like 4:30 a.m. Eastern time right now, by the time I wake up, if we haven't signed anybody else, I'm gonna immediately start to work on my other videos, like our biggest needs remaining and what free agents and draft prospects we could potentially get to fill those needs. And also, like, so far a review of like what we've done the first 2 days of free agency to kind of do like an overall wrap up, because I feel like some people have requested that. I've seen a couple of people ask for that in the comment section, so I'm assuming if 2 to 5 people have said it in the comment section, there's probably like hundreds of people who are actually really wanting something like that. So I'm gonna definitely get that out to y'all as soon as possible. Again, if by the time I wake up we haven't signed anybody new, we haven't made any other major news, no trades, no nothing, then I'm gonna start to work on those types of videos. So again, make sure you have that bell next to the subscription button clicked in so you get a notification literally immediately and every single time I release these videos, because if you don't have that bell clicked in, you'll get a notification like maybe 1 out of every 10 videos I do, maybe. And I'm out here putting, like, at this point with all of the chaos going on, I'm doing like 5, 6, 7 videos a day. So make sure you stay up to date, and when in doubt, always come back to my channel, because you probably have not seen all of the videos I've released since the legal tampering period has started. So make sure you go check out my breakdowns for every individual player. I've given every single person we signed, even this long snapper like this video, and even the kicker Brandon McManus that we signed, I guess yesterday. Right now at this point in time is jumbled up for me, and then we had the nerve to do daylight savings, so I'm all over the place right now. But either way, I even did a separate video just for him. I included some Patrick Queen rumors in there as well, but every signing is getting their own individual video with no other signing being grouped with them, because I just personally feel like they all deserve their own full breakdowns. And y'all know I talk for forever because I do really deep dives. So man, make sure you stay tuned. I'm gonna keep y'all updated on every little thing the Commanders do. Let me know how you feel about this long snapper signing. Do you feel like it's even as important as I do, or do you feel like this is just stupid news or whatever? Do you feel like this is the most pointless signing we've made, or do you appreciate the fact that we finally have somebody different than Camaron Cheeseman like I do? Let me know all of that. I'm gonna catch y'all later. I appreciate y'all. I'm out.